Hello composers, Mike here, and you are watching Studio Time with Mike. And in this video I'm going to check out and show you Superior Drummer 3 Orchestral Percussion SDX, which is an amazing library of fundamental orchestral percussion as well as auxiliary instruments that you might not use that often but are really cool to have in your composer toolbox. So let's get started right now. So let's start with the most important thing, the sound, of course. So I actually created this short composition in about 10 minutes or so, just doing something with lots of rhythm. And of course, this is the percussion mix, and all these percussion instruments are from Orchestral Percussion SDX, but I have chosen to separate them in different plugins instances with one instrument per track. So I have a bass drum, timpani, taikos, snare drum, toms, cymbal crash, piatti crashes, which are these kinds of crash cymbals, cymbal swells on its own track, and then I not used gongs, but I used tubular bells to mark some bold accents here. And then to top it off, I actually created some ostinatos here in the rhythmic section. But let's listen to the percussion on its own first, so you can hear what it sounds like. Playing in 3, 2, 1. Right, so that is the little track I made. I might have heard some 1 or 2 notes that were not super perfect line, but I just made this in 10 minutes, so that's saying something about the workflow of this plugin, because everything is mapped out properly, and once you get used to it, it's really great to have. So with the rhythm, this is the rhythm. And together, as you can see, these main accents on the cellos and the bass shorts I used on the low taikos and the bass drum here, for example. So all together it sounds like this. Awesome! That's the little track I made in, again, 10 minutes, just from having everything mapped out and laid out like this, which I recommend you to have in a template. And then I just dived in, and let's see, here we have the bass drum, for example. So you can see the mapping here if you want to the right, and it sounds like this. So a very natural sound. This is not like a super epic hybrid type of percussion kit. It's orchestral percussion, the real natural sound of the orchestral percussion. So we have the timpani. I think that was where the timing was a bit off on the timpani there. Then I have taikos here. So let's check the timpanis first, by the way. 4 different timpanis that you can switch in tuning if you want. Then with the taikos, you can clearly hear the accents there. Then a snare, and I've chosen the classical concert snare, which I really like for orchestral music. And if you check the piano roll here, I actually recorded with my left hand the main accent, so to speak, and then with my right hand here, because they've actually mapped it, if we open up the plugin, so that you have some notes down here and then some notes up here, which is really practical when you record faster patterns. Then I have some concert toms for fills, basically. So basically coming in here in between after the main accents. Then some crash cymbals, piatti cymbals, and swells. I actually use, let's see, can I get this open? Here. No, I just want the cymbals. give me the cymbals. Oh, so a whole range of cymbals, as you can see here. Piattis here, crash cymbals here, and some specialty cymbals I didn't use, but basically... there's some kind of ride thing there, and then we have this, so you can listen to the cymbals well. So how did I make that so fast? Well, I used their amazing groove library, just went in, chose cymbals well in the filter, tried out a couple of them, dragged it into the sequencer, and then I had it there. And finally, I added the tubular bells. Oh, what a clear, crystal, shimmery sound. I love the tubular bells in this. Basically, there's no... every drum in or percussion in this library actually sounds amazing in quality, but you won't get that super over-the-top sound design hybrid epic type of drums. If you want that, I recommend using this as your main orchestral percussion, and then add another plugin or library to layer on top if you want that really hybrid sound. So that is it. Now let's dive into the interface and have a look. So this is Superior Drummer 3. On its own, it's definitely one of the best acoustic drum plugins in the world, and I have used quite a few of them. So not only because of the great sound and the huge range and versatility in the drums, and that you can buy lots and lots of different modules for it, but also because of the amazing features in this plugin in the interface. One of the most amazing things is that you can actually scale it out. Yeah, I love this. I don't know why not more developers include a scalable interface. So let's in fact scale this out something like that. So you can see there. And here you can find different folders like the drum kit itself, where you can exchange, for example, the drums, the beaters, brushes, and all kinds of... it's super huge. There's also options to have surround mixing and all that. You have the grooves, which are MIDI grooves, which you can even drag and drop right into the interface. So let's say you want a snare roll, simply find one that you like this one. Then you can simply click and drag it right into your sequencer, like that. And you have it like here. Like so. And if you might want to have that and exchange, because I didn't really like that snare drum, so let's use that one instead. Same groove. And I can honestly say that programming rolls like that is extremely hard, so having a huge range of them already here in the groove library is amazing. Then you have the mixer, and then you have actually you can track audio here in this plugin. You can even drag in audio to get MIDI from the audio to use in Superior Drummer 3. I haven't tested that personally, but let's continue to the real review, which is, if you check up here, Superior Drummer 3, which is the main library, I'm going to review the Orchestral Percussion SDX, which is divided into two different modules, as you can see here, because everything couldn't fit in one interface. I've already loaded it up here. If I click here, we have the main, which is Orchestral Percussion 1. These are basically the fundamental, the essential percussion for orchestras, with some additions I might add. So you have the bass drum. I can find it here. And if you want to know where something is mapped, you can click up here. Here's lots of options. MIDI mapping. Click that with the arrow. Show MIDI mapping keys. And you can see all the mappings here. This I really liked. So you can have, here you have a bass drum center on C2, and then muted and rim. So you can use different hits. You have the snare next. So you have snare edge, side stick, center, drag, rim shot, and if you check, I think we have more up here. Yep. Half circle. I don't even know what this means, but muted flam, I know. Stick shot, of course. So where's that? Up here. That's a flam. So you can that makes it easier to play things like let's see this. if I can use both my hands like that. So you have the snare, so bass drum, snare, timpani, and crash cymbals. I would probably say are the most essential in orchestral music. Then you have toms, of course. You also have tubular bells. You have lots of crash cymbals, 3 different there, and 2 piattis, which are crash cymbals that you crash together like this, which creates an even more accented sound that doesn't ring out as long as these crash cymbals. And you have specialty crash cymbals here. This is like a China gong crash. Sounds really crazy. This half moon type thing. Sounds like a delayed crash, and this little leaf here. I have never used these instruments before, but I would count them as specialty auxiliary, but anyway, they are here. The tubular bells, and then the thunder plate, which can be also useful for accents. Then 2 types of gongs. One is the tam-tam, which has more of a cymbal character, big cymbal, and then the traditional gong, like so. Then you have these taiko drums, which are huge Japanese drums mounted on the side, and then you stand and hit them like this. These taikos has basically become one of the fundamental epic cinematic music percussion types in the recent, let's say, 10 years or so. So that is it for module 1 regarding the instruments you can use. But of course, you can also right-click on any one. Here, there's only one shape of bass drum, but you can change the beater to hard beater, or soft beater, or stick, which are drumsticks basically. So obviously it becomes less of volume, and then 3 players playing at once simultaneously hitting the drum, which is a really cool ensemble type effect. And you can do lots of things. You can change out this drum if you don't like the classical concert snare, which I do. Let's say a field snare here, or perhaps this piccolo, changing this to different sticks here. Still the same drum there, no? Right. Anyway, so you can change out the different drums sometimes. For example, the timpanis, you can change the tuning even here. Medium beater, soft beater. So there is so much customizability. And if you now change to the auxiliary percussion, so the main percussion is its own module, module 1, and then module 2 is auxiliary percussion, meaning things that are not really standard in an orchestral setting, but somewhat useful, can be very useful indeed, not used as often though. So for example, bongos. I don't know what these are mapped to, but you can always bring up MIDI mapping, show here, and then you see full list here. So you can see. And then you can of course set up for E-drums and things if you want to, or change the MIDI mapping if you want to as well. These are bongos. Oh, these are congas, these are bongos. I'm not super into ethnic instruments, so I know these and these, but I mean, I don't know what these are. Called boo bam, apparently. Chimes, that I find super useful. I would actually count that as a fundamental orchestral percussion shimmering thing. You have some shakers over here. Also some chimey character there. Woodblocks, also kind of essential, at least in the old, I think of like an old Disney movie when I hear this. Ferdinand, I think it was. You can see there's lots of things going on here, and you can change as well. I mean, some strange things, but really cool on its own. And of course, you have the triangle. Of course you need that. Here we have a table. This is just a smorgasbord, as we say in Sweden, but with musical percussion instruments instead. So that's it for all the different sounds. I won't go through everyone, but you get the idea. So the stomps and snaps, I see. Not claps. I don't see any. Yeah, there. Not the best claps I've heard, but this is orchestral percussion. So, and of course you can go into the mixer again here and assign different outputs if you want. Mix the panning position, even apply effects. So let's say you want. I mean, that's fine. Where are the congas? So we find. You can see what I hit here. So the bongos. Let's do the bongos. So if we have the bongos, you might want to go to the mixer, check the bongos here, and why not apply a crazy Volve distortion box on the congas, just because we can. I want to go even more crazy. Well, what do they have? Distortion. Without? I don't want to pan it so much. I mean, you can go crazy if you want to. You have, of course, equalizers, dynamics, compressors, limiters, distortion modules, reverb, delay, modulation. So basically, you can mix your entire percussion mix inside Superior Drummer and only send out one stereo output if you wish. Or you can do, for example, what I did, which is another great aspect of this. I usually prefer to have every individual instrument separated. So I actually loaded up, let's see, here it starts. All these instruments are from, this is my percussion template. So all these are, I haven't added the auxiliary instruments yet. These are Orchestral Percussion SDX. If I load that up, you can see, if I now open up the interface, look, everything is grayed out because I went up, let's see, I think it was, where do I find the drum kits? Then I to clear all instruments, and then you can go in and load instruments individually. So this is only the bass drum. You can see how much RAM it takes up here. That way I can get it separated. So I have the timpanis here. If I load it up, it's only timpanis here. I don't know where it's mapped to. It's like up here, I think. Where are you? Up all the way there. So, of course, I could change the mapping if I wanted to, but as you can see, you can do it that way, or you can do it like create a multi-output instrument and route all the. So you have all this set up, and then you route from the mixer out to, let's see, out 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Up, I think it's up to. So it's 32 channels, so 16 stereo channels, so you can get everything routed and mixed in your DW if you prefer that. Or you can, as I said in the beginning, mix everything inside here, because you have an entire mixing console in here, so why not use it to its advantage? So, let's see, that is Superior Drummer 3 with the true expansion modules. Now, let me give you my quick overall review and impression after using this plugin for about 1 week. These are my top favorite things about Orchestral Percussion SDX for Superior Drummer. 1. The sound. It's recorded in the same studio as Superior Drummer, which is arguably one of the best and most soundproofed big recording spaces in the world, Galaxy Studios. This means that they could record very clean and high-quality recordings even at soft and low volumes such as PPP. And it truly shows in the end result. The dynamic range and detail in the sound is excellent. 2. The range. The range of instruments you get with Orchestral Percussion SDX is incredibly impressive. Over 120 instruments, and with variations in mallets and hit types, for example. It is so vast that they organized it into 2 separate libraries, each with its own interface. Volume 1 is the standard orchestral percussion, from bass drum to timpani, taikos, snares, toms, cymbals, gongs, etc. And Volume 2 is the auxiliary percussion like bongos, shakers, woodblocks, chimes, and yes, of course, the mighty triangle. 3. The workflow. If you are used to working with Superior Drummer 3, you will appreciate that Orchestral Percussion SDX shares the same interface and workflow. Clean design, quick and easy to work with, scalable interface, thank you for that tune track, MIDI grooves that you can drag and drop, etc. The workflow of Superior Drummer 3 with any modules such as this one is one of the main reasons I will choose this over contact libraries of orchestral percussion. 4. The customizability. I can only sum this up in one word: wow. You can do so much to design and shape the overall sound of your orchestral percussion mix. From the obvious things like mixing mic positions to switching out drums, beaters, mallets, using different types of hits, layering for sound design, and even create your own chain of different effects available right in the user interface, per instrument. Great fun and super powerful. And number 5, the MIDI grooves. First, I personally record, write and program all my main percussion parts myself, meaning I don't usually like to use already made percussion grooves as my main drum beat for each song section. However, it is so convenient to have some types of performances as MIDI grooves, if those are what you want to add to your composition anyway. For me, this means things like drum rolls, cymbal swells, complex fills, shakers, etc. Things that are kind of hard to record and program, but if you know you want that kind of performance, I don't believe this is cheating. And their amazing browser includes a search function and filtering function, so you can find the perfect groove to add to your composition.